And we're really excited now to have, we've heard from lots of different operators. We've heard from operators who have focused on one thing. We've heard from operators arguing for verticalization. And we're delighted to have Jet Access. We've got Quinn and David. And we're going to start with you, Quinn. Why on earth did you want to buy an operator?
Sometimes I question that myself. But, a little bit of a story here is, our family we grew a pretty big business in convenience retail. My parents started it in '79, and we grew that into 56 stores, another 83 we were supplied in the Midwest, and about 800 employees. But there was a lot of strategic headwinds in that industry. Electric cars, cafe standards. We were really proud of what we built, but we felt like my parents and I were the partners in the business, and it was probably time to do something different. And so we decided to exit that in 2018. But the interesting thing about that business was, I don't think there's anything more transparent than buying a gallon of gas at a convenience store. Your price is right there on the street for your customers to see, for your competition to see. There was no barriers to entry in that industry. And one is, I was interested. I like anything that goes fast. That's fun. But it was an interesting business challenge in aviation, because juxtaposed with what is so transparent of what our former life was, there was a lot of lack of transparency in business aviation. It's extremely complex. A price you get for a maintenance event or an aircraft, or all the different, or the structure of an aircraft deal. It's so complicated. So we thought, if we can come in and build something interesting and provide transparency, there should be a big opportunity to take care of our Jet Access employees and grow a great company and take care of our clients as well.
David, you've been at, I haven't got a mic. David, you've been at EGM, you're at Wheels Up. What attracted you to joining Jet Access?
So, I've been in the business for about 20 years, and the last 10 in management. And after Wheels Up divested the aircraft management division, I was trying to figure out what's next. And a mutual friend of ours from Magellan Jets, Anthony Tivnan, said, you need to talk to Quinn. And I knew Jet Access from Jack Lambert. Myself and one of my coworkers at EJM helped to get Jet Access to be a vendor for EJM. But I didn't know what happened after the company was sold. And so I talked to Quinn for about an hour on a car ride, and I said, I think I need to come to Indianapolis and see what you guys have. So the following week I went out there, and he took me to 3 of the company's FBOs. I saw the MROs. I saw, for anybody who's ever been to Eagle Creek, it's like a MC Escher painting with like all these little different rooms where there's like a turboprop here and a prop plane there and a jet over here. And then it's like, all right, well, what about the aircraft management business? And so we've taken, or what they did is kind of pared back the business a little bit to make sure the owners that we had and the aircraft that we have align with where the company is today. And so for me, I saw the opportunity of, we're going to grow in FBO, we're going to grow fuel, we're going to grow MRO. It's a real company where it's not just a sales organization. And that, I think, really impressed me the most. And to your credit, Ali, when I was driving the Quinn from one FBO to another after going through this story, I said, you know what, you need to be a CJI next year on the stage and tell the story. And so here we are. But more importantly, there's all these different divisions that are able to work together. And we did some of this at Wheels Up with the cross-sell, and we did some of it at NetJets and EJM with the cross-sell. But having a customer who can have their maintenance work done in-house, have their aircraft hangared with us, all of that's super important. We have an Embraer authorized service center, Cirrus authorized service center. So, we're out there growing and delivering for the customers and doing everything in their best interests.
And you bought the company 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was quite a journey. It's probably an appropriate time to go into it. I was able to get involved in an organization that had 7 FBOs. I had a small flight training business and had a brokerage business, and I had about 37 employees. We got the opportunity to buy half of Jet Access in 2019. And it became clear, although there was quite a bit of, had a little sideline with something called COVID-19, but it became clear through 19, slight pause in 20, and back to 20 when we were talking about our strategy. If we can put flight training, charter management, maintenance, FBOs, and brokerage all together, overlay best-in-class technology and a people-centric culture, this could be fantastic for, one, our Jet Access family members, and then particularly for the clients of Jet Access. All that value proposition together should be a very, very powerful value proposition for our clients. So that's kind of how it all began, and we got really up until, call it 2021, we were missing one major piece, and it was the maintenance side of it. And really the first day of Jet Access Group of what it is today was December 26, 2021. That's when we bought Eagle Creek and First Wing. And that, now we had a large charter management business, had a nice FBO network, very fast-growing flight training business, but now we had a large maintenance business. And we went from 37 employees to now 365 just in the last 4 years. So it's been a wild ride.
And mergers are difficult.
Mergers are difficult, but actually the interesting thing was, buying the companies was not. I mean, there's partners, and we ended up, really, there was a number of different partners involved in the previous businesses that we had, particularly in the old FBO business. Ended up buying all of them pretty much out because we needed a decision maker and somebody focused. But the hard part then became, you're trying to put 4 different cultures, 3-4 different cultures, systems. We ended up gutting every bit of technology inside the entire company except for Microsoft Office, Microsoft Windows, and a flight training software, and went all new cloud-based systems in every vertical, Oracle, NetSuite, Salesforce, because we knew that we needed to deliver easy systems for our people and our clients. So the hard part was really after the sale, was integrating all this culturally and process and people. But really, by the end of last year, that's where we got it. Okay, this engine is built. And that's when we got, I really started searching out and called Anthony at Magellan and said, we need to beef up our managed aircraft sales. We have a big opportunity to grow with our current team and adding to that team. And we got with Dave, and here we are.
I mean, I just look at like the foundation's been built and the lobby's been built, and we can go up from here. And it's not one of these things where we need to bring in 50 planes a year and grow like crazy. We don't have private equity to answer to. This is a family-run business, and it's really about doing it the right way from the beginning and building something really awesome over the next 20, 25 years. Yeah. It's even to this point, for me, only being 6 months in, has been very exciting.
And how many aircraft do you have under management now?
So we're at 31 today. With the goal of, for 2025, to take it to about 50, and let's say over the next 5 years, up to about 100 and change. And I don't think we ever really want to be the biggest in the industry. We just want to have the best owners with the best aircraft.
And Quinn, you want to be in every vertical. Yes. You want the flight training. How does the flight training fit in?
That's interesting, and that's the one that the people typically ask, flight training as well? So we got into the business and I wasn't that interested in the flight training. I'm like, oh man, we're just pay-as-you-go students. And then I realized, I actually talked to a really good friend, Ben Walton, and he was really the only other charter management company out there that had partnered with a flight training business. And he inspired me by what he had done. And we were beginning this process, but he really inspired me on, if we can in-house build our next generation of pilots, take our best of our best, and from student to CFI, we now have a mentoring program where they mentor with one of our senior pilots, take them all the way up to 1,500. They're bought in, they're excited. We know how good of a pilot they are. We know their strengths, we know their weaknesses. That just made so much sense. I'm really thankful for Ben for opening my eyes to that, and it was an absolute godsend for particularly last year. we took quite a few of our top guns in our flight training business and moved them into the right seat. And I don't think the pilot shortage is over. It seems like there's a little reprieve right now, especially on the SIC side. But when Boeing and Airbus fix their issues, I think we're going to be, hopefully it's not as bad as last summer, but I think there's going to be a consistent pilot shortage, and we've got a built-in mechanism that provides opportunities for our people and also provides solutions for our clients.
It's interesting. It is. It's not normal. Did you?
Yeah. So to kind of piggyback on that, we have a pilot who's here today, and he has gone from being one of the trainers to flying in the right seat and soon to be in the left seat of one of our aircraft. And for myself, I've brought on 3 planes in the past few weeks, and we're set up in a way so we're making sure we're not scrambling right at the end to find the pilots who can fly the planes. Everyone knows at year end, some people need to do 135 flights, and we're making that happen. But we're making it happen because of the flight school, and those aircraft have candidates immediately available, known to us, that we can go and hire. And frankly, for most of them being in the Midwest, their salaries are a lot less than we're budgeting for, and they're okay with it because they want to stay with us and they want to stay with Jet Access.
TJ.
He's shaking his head, didn't want to be picked on at all.
We're proud of you.
What's different about your aircraft management program? There's so many, there's no shortage of options, are there?
So I've been with places where you're either inside the box or outside the box, and I think it's creating 4 programs. One is charter managed, which will brand these with some kind of word access in there in 2025. But charter managed, where we're able to do the charter on the plane, the aircraft owner handles all their 91 ops, straight 91 operations, which is about 30% of our fleet right now. And then standard 191, 135 management, and then also what we call a high utility program for an owner that is trying to maximize revenue. They fly really no less than 50 hours a year. We'll cut them a special deal on a flight program for them, and then we're chartering that plane 600 to 800 hours a year, depending what we can do for demand. And on the demand side of that, because of what the previous ownership had helped to set up, we're a vendor of basically every major operator out there, from NetJets and FlexJet and EJM. And so we have very good demand. We're getting the calls from them as they need lift, and that helps to keep our charter demand strong.
Mm-hmm. I do think also what makes us different, I'm a little biased on this one, but I do believe private ownership in this, a really long-term mindset. Our values are safety first. We have lives in our hands. Relationships matter, take care of each other, do the right thing for the long term, and positivity. And that do the right thing for the long term, I believe we can really stand behind that, because I'm not looking to bring private equity, no offense to anybody, private equity out there, or publicly traded companies.
I think we started off the conference calling them assassins, or I didn't.
Oh, so what I did was much nicer.
So yours, Ken called them the assassins of the private industry, aviation industry. So
I do think we have a strategic differentiator with that, because I want to do this with our awesome team and my wife, Julie, for the rest of our lives. I love this industry. I love the people that are part of our Jet Access family. I love the people in the industry. This is a lot of fun, and I think because we have private patient capital, we can make decisions that somebody who needs to exit in 3 or 5 years, or needs to report quarterly earnings, sometimes the long-term decisions that you make may affect those types of goals, and we're engineered differently. We have all these 5 verticals, and I get why it's challenging to put these together, and why it's rare in the industry, because putting them together is hard. Actually, buying them is not that hard, it's just expensive. But synergizing them, that is what is really challenging, is making sure that the MROs aren't operating differently, or as a third party, that they are helping their charter management business, that the flight training is helping, that the FBOs are providing value. So all of that put together is very challenging, but we've built this whole platform so that we can deliver a great value, a great experience to our aircraft owners.
Are there any other areas you'd like to acquire? Are there any other, do you want to have a catering business or?
I think I'm pretty good on acquisitions right now. I say we have so much opportunity inside the company that we have right now. There will be, we have 4 hubs: Indianapolis, Nashville, Dallas, and West Palm. There will be other hubs, but from a service lines, I feel really good about, where we are. So not at the moment.
And you're not tempted to buy a management company? Do you think it works?
No. I mean, we want to grow this the way we want to grow it. And coming from my experience at Wheels Up, which was amazing, but all those acquisitions that happened also quickly and during COVID, which I think that hindered some of it, it's trying to combine some of these very specific cultures is a real challenge. So Quinn and team have built an amazing culture already. For my first day of work, I get the core values sheet, in a nice piece of plexiglass that I can put on my desk, and which was impressive because I knew the company for about 10 days before I started, and seeing the professionalism and knowing that those core values really mean a lot to the company. I think acquiring a similar size company would be too much of a challenge, and I don't see the real benefit in it because you're paying all the extra money to do that while you might not be getting all the revenue, and a lot of these contracts are not necessarily going to bring the aircraft with them.
So you've got a wing share product. How does that work?
So it's a small program. We have 2 aircraft currently enrolled in Indianapolis, third one coming in mid-2025. And it's small and home-based, meaning that the aircraft are based in Indianapolis. We'll expand to Nashville and Dallas and Palm Beach at some point. But the idea is over the next 3 to 5 years, it's somewhere between 4 and 6 aircraft, similar models, let's say like an Excel and a Sovereign, or a CJ3 Excel Sovereign, that kind of thing. And it's only 6 owners, 75 hours each, which means that the aircraft aren't going to get ripped apart and flown 1,200 hours a year. And it's also a small amount of owners in that space, so that you're not trying to sell 16 shares of any of these aircraft. So the purchase price is a little bit lower, the residual value is going to be higher, and then the hourly rates are really, we're not trying to be the least expensive in this, and we're not trying to be the most expensive, but it's a good value for what you're getting. And we were able to sell all the shares in the other 2 planes that we have right now. So it's just a matter of working on a slow and steady expansion of that.
Okay, so you're not going to buy anyone, or you're not planning to. Never say never.
Never say never.
But, and you've got the foundations in place. You've got the system.
Yeah, and so one of the things on future growth, besides growing the aircraft management division and charter, and as everything else grows organically, we'll probably have more locations around the country in the next 3 to 5 years. And somewhere in the Northeast, maybe another location in Florida, maybe somewhere Utah area or Phoenix area. But it's going to be the same strategy where we're not trying to be we're not at Indianapolis International Airport. We're at 3 airports around that, which is closer to where the owners are as opposed to being at the major hub. And so I think for any of these locations, as we look at it, we're not trying to be at the biggest airport. We want to be at the right airport for the customer and what actually makes sense for us too.
Yeah, reliever airports in major metro areas, and how I see us growing potentially is, how we've historically grown. We've seen some RFPs come out. And the FBO, we believe, is the foundation for what we do. And then we layer over all the verticals, and then we layer in our then we layer in our fractional ownership as well. And that optimizes that margin opportunity at that airfield. So yeah, we've got our future eyes on some things. I don't think there will be anything in 2025, but we'll always be opportunistic. But the expansion going forward will most likely be hub-based. Let's get another hub and then take the great formula that we have and replicate it.
I think it's also being in aircraft-friendly areas too, so where we can expand there. But let's say we're going to be building another FBO at John Toon in Nashville, and which is very exciting. And Nashville is growing like crazy as a aviation area, and our Dallas location, which is Dallas Executive, is opening up in a few weeks. And we've actually leased half the hangar over to a company called Jets MRO. So we'll have a maintenance facility that can help out. Well, it's not our maintenance facility, but it's somebody that we know and trust who can actually work on our customers' aircraft. But then Dallas Executive has the room to grow as well. If we grow there, we can continue to grow at that airport with really not having many issues.
So you've worked, Dave, at some of the biggest, well, probably the biggest aircraft management companies. Is there a point when they get too big? Because I'm guessing at the moment everyone's got your mobile number. If anything goes wrong, you'll get that call in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it's. I think both of the companies I've worked at, they understood being too big, and but it comes down to the personalization and knowing you can get a hold of somebody when you need to. And I do set the expectation, and I'm going to continue to grow it with our company, where I'm the executive that can help them get what they need to get done, but I'm going to make sure that my team makes it so that they don't need to call me. And so every now and again, I'll get that call, and we figure it out, and it's fine, but they're not calling me at midnight on a Saturday to do anything, because we have a great team supporting us. And I think at all the other companies, they have great teams supporting them as well, but I think it makes it easier for those companies to grow the way that they're used to, and for us, it's going to be building each of these programs around the customer from the beginning, and that's where I really saw the opportunity here, is when you have 25, 30 planes, you can really build it the way you want to, as opposed to the way it's always been.
And is it regional? So the senior guy at each base, you have a senior guy who manages aircraft management.
Yeah, so it'll
who's
be
at the FBO, who sees the customers come in and out.
At the FBOs, I mean, they get used to seeing the same customers over and over again, but we have aircraft that are not at our core locations. So we have aircraft at Bedford, we have an aircraft in Little Rock, so certain other locations outside where our bases are. What I will do, or we'll look to do as a team, is to market to aircraft that are based near our hub locations, but we can manage aircraft anywhere in the
And we manage an aircraft out of Portland, Oregon. So I mean, it's all over. So half the fleet's kind of in our hubs and half the fleet's not.
Okay, we've got a couple of nice questions. So earlier today, there was a discussion about commercial air service challenges in small to mid-sized cities, where the airlines would have a commuter shuttle between them. Are you benefiting from?
Yeah, like totally. I mean, I have my first deal I brought on was a gentleman who bought a CJ3 Plus, and he's in Indianapolis, and there's no nonstop flights to Omaha. So he bought the plane. We operate it in a way for him that makes sense. So yeah, it's not first class commercial prices, but it's helping him to get, just like the value of business aviation, getting to 3 cities in one day for his company. Now he can do that, where he realizes he absolutely could not do that commercially. But it was a perfect example is that first guy that we signed up with the CJ3.
Here's a softball question from someone in the audience.
Suresh, that was you, wasn't it?
Why do you think there is such a drop-off in service and support and care from privately owned FBOs to the consolidated private equity-owned ones? Do you agree with this? Do you think that? Well, of course you do, don't you?
I believe it's a strategic advantage for us to be private. And it just, we're building a culture that lasts 10, 15, 20 years. The training, the inspections, the leadership summits that we're doing. And when you put all of that together and get people rallied around one particular vision and one particular way that we like to do service.
You're big enough to SPAC.
We're not SPACing either.
So I'll give like a quick story. When the day that I came in to meet with Quinn, and we were at Eagle Creek, and he's giving me the tour around. First, he knew everybody's name who was there and was saying hello. Nobody was afraid of him. Nobody was worried for their job. And as we're kind of finishing the tour, there's about 20 mechanics that were sitting in the lunchroom. And Quinn gets up and he's like, "How's everything going? Everything doing? Sorry, I haven't been here in a few weeks. What can I do to help you guys?" And the kind of mutual respect he had for them and that they had for him is what really impressed me, because there were some guys who were like, "We need some steaks," and which I'm like, okay, but the real guys were like, we need more people. And so he takes it to heart and he says, well, if that's what they need, then we're going to deliver on that. And we had a goal of hiring 6 new guys by the end of the year, and they're already hired right now. So we know that they needed help, and we want to make sure that we keep those guys at our shops and they're not going to competitors. And frankly, in Indianapolis, there's Textron right there, so they're the big name in town, but we're going to end up being the bigger name in that town.
Yeah.
And in 5 years' time, how big?
Well, I think it was one of the things that impressed Dave when we came in as well. I had a CEO mentor who was a huge impact on my life, and he gave us the skills to run this like a publicly traded company from a financial discipline guardrails, but have the culture and warmth of a privately held organization. And so we actually have our business, mapped out 10 years of what it should look like per how many aircraft, how many FBOs, how many maintenance facilities, what the revenue should be, how many people. I think it's at, what do we got, I think it's 6 years from now. I'm trying to remember because we did it last year. I think we have it at 88 planes, where we add a hub every year or two. Later on, we're adding one every year, but it's kind of a hub every year or two at first. So we're going to be a lot bigger. We have it mapped out exactly what we want that to look like per every single vertical, and we're going to hit it. But also, this isn't about being the biggest and the best. Well, it's about being the best, but it's not about being the biggest, because the biggest is not always the best. It's about delivering an awesome experience. Actually, I'm going to take a little bit of a step back here. So one of the things I'm most proud of that we did in our previous business is we had 800 employees that were, they were low-wage retail employees. And we won a 100 best places to work. And how we did that was, we didn't focus on our customers. We actually focused on our people. We thought the best way to deliver a client experience, a great customer service experience, is to focus on our people first. It was actually a Disney concept that I read a long time ago. And so we won 100 best places to work. So I know that if we build a great company and take care of our people, it's going to grow. At what pace? I've got some ideas of what that's going to look like, but it may be a little bit less, hopefully going to be a little bit more. But if we take care of our people, we are going to be able to deliver the best client experience to any of our clients, and particularly with the infrastructure that we built, the experience for our aircraft owners.
Right.
I'll give you the easy answer. 100 aircraft and an additional 2 or 3 locations.
100's so round, but we'll get there and beyond.
It's the goal.
Very quickly, Joe Barber has said, how do you know your customer checks to make sure you're getting the right customer? And I think one of the secrets of Aircraft Manager is there's great customers and there's awful customers, and you don't want the awful customers, do you?
No, you don't want the awful ones. Obviously, you do your due diligence on who the customers are, but for those of us that have been in the business for a while, there's some customers that have moved from one company to another, and I would say the majority of my colleagues and I talk quite a bit, so we know if there's a bad apple out there, you might want to just take a pass on them. And then for the new customers, most of them are represented by somebody we know as well. And that person's going to give you a heads up on, they like this, they don't like this, and here's what to watch out for. And there's some people where you're like, it might not make sense. And so you might make the deal a little bit harder and not forgive as much and let somebody else win that deal so that they can deal with that person instead.
And Quinn, no regrets. You don't go, I should have gone into sheep farming.
Absolutely not. This has been the most challenging thing I've ever done professionally, by far. And it's the most enjoyable thing by far. I shouldn't say by far, because I love what I built with our parents. Sorry, Mom. But it is, this is, my parents and I built something together. But this is nice to have them supporting me, but doing something on my own, it's been unbelievably complex, and I feel so blessed every day to be able to do this with our team, with the support of my family.
And to be fair, they're smiling, so I'm not sure they're that bothered about not having to work with you anymore.
Fair.
Thank you very much. That was great.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. That was really good.